Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live with the MLB regular season ending in a short week. Today's video is going to focus on the most disappointing players at each fantasy baseball position. One catcher, one first base, one second base, one shortstop, one third base, three outfielders, five starting pitchers, and one relief pitcher. Next weekend, I'll take a look at the almostly one undrafted team. So start with the negative and with the positive. These guys were, in my eyes, the most disappointing at each of these positions, at least according to where they were drafted on average. Now, I took their average draft position via Fantasy Pros, which is a website that takes the consensus rankings of 6 sources from March 30th, right before the season began: ESPN, CBS, Yahoo, and 3 others. Averages them out, gives an average draft position. So again, let's say a guy was selected on average in the 2nd round. He was slightly better than a guy drafted on average in the 8th round. Well, that guy in the 2nd round would be included because he was taken 6 rounds prior to the guy taken the 8th round, so was expected of him. But let's get into it. I'll start at catcher, so average draft positions and position rank are included for each of these guys. Alejandro Kirk, he was an all-star and a silver slugger last year with the Blue Jays. This year he's seen his batting average drop 39 points to 246. His homers have been cut in half from 14 to 7, just 31 runs and 40 RBIs in 117 games. First base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, it hasn't necessarily been a bad season for him, but as you see, his average draft position was in the 1st round of 12-team leagues, and he has not performed like a first-round pick. He's been better than Jose Abreu, definitely, but Abreu was on average a 5th or 6th round pick. People taking him were hoping for more of a rebound towards 2021. Instead, he's regressed even a little more from 2022. His homers the past 3 years have dipped from 48 to 32 to 24, while he still drove in 92 RBIs, 73 runs compared to 123 in 2021 and 90 in 2022. 265 batting average, far cry from the 311 in 2021. Second base, not many viable candidates. I went with Tommy Edmond, who has a lot of value because he plays all over the field, but hasn't been as valuable as he was in the previous 2 seasons. On the year, batting 242, batted over 260 each of the last 2 seasons. 12 homers, just 46 RBI, 63 runs after totaling more than 90 each of the past 2 seasons. Yes, he does provide value with his legs, 25 steals, but had 30 in 2021 and 32 in 2022. Also considered Andres Jimenez, but he's played much better of late. I should also mention that I definitely did consider Dalton Varsho for catcher or outfielder. Slightly went with Kirk. Shortstop, we're going to go with Tim Anderson. Now, Carlos Correa is definitely a decent choice, but Anderson was actually taken on average earlier than Correa. Trey Turner has at least turned it up a little bit. He's been a disappointment, though, but Tim Anderson has just been so bad I had to include him. I'm not even talking about what happened with Jose Ramirez, but you take a look at his numbers. So each of the last 4 seasons, he had batted over 300. This year, 248. 1 home run. He has 476 at-bats, 507 plate appearances, 1 home run, and in that amount of playing time has 25 RBIs. Really has been a struggle this year for Tim Anderson. Third base, I'm going to go with Matt Chapman. Now, Matt Chapman, you see 4.2 WAR on the season according to Baseball Reference. How could he be included? Well, he got off to an awesome April, but has not really been a good hitter since May. So in 107 games since May 1st, Chapman is batting just 204 with 10 homers and 31 RBIs. So really hasn't been a guy that fantasy owners can count on to put in their lineup. .241 batting average for the season shows you just how good he was in April, and just hasn't been able to come anywhere near that since. But he'll still get paid. He's a free agent after the season. Three outfielders. There was a lot of viable choices. Thought about putting Varsho as an outfielder. Thought about putting Byron Buxton, Starling Marte. Went with these three guys instead, starting with former NL MVP Chris Bryant. Man, in the second year of a 7-year, $182 million contract, to say it's not panning out so far would be an understatement. Last year he played in just 42 games, but at least hit 306. This year, 77 games, but his batting average has dipped to 239. Hasn't shown any type of advantage for playing his home games at Coors Field. 10 homers, 30 RBIs, and 323 plate appearances. Next, let's go with Tyler O'Neill. So, to a lesser extent, he wasn't as good as Guerrero in 2021, but fans were hoping he could repeat that 2021 season after his numbers dipped in 2022. It hasn't been the case at all. In 72 games, O'Neill is batting just 231 with 9 homers, 21 RBIs, and 27 runs. Even the past 2 years, he combined for 29 steals. This year, 5. Had a down 2022 for sure, but 2021 batted 286, 34 homers, 15 stolen bases. Next, hate including this guy since I am a Miami Marlins fan. He's not on the Marlins anymore, but brought me a lot of joy. That is Giancarlo Stanton, still showing some pop in his bat. 24 homers and 368 at-bats. Some prodigiously long home runs. 402 career homers now, but a 189 batting average on the season. Ouch. 43 runs scored, so more than half his runs are coming via the home run ball, as he really struggles to run the bases. He is signed for, I believe, another, 4 seasons. Let's hope he can get back to close to what he once was. Let's go with our 5 starting pitchers. I named the outfielders and starting pitchers alphabetical order by last name. So Sandy Alcantara, yes, as a Marlins fan, I had to include him. The reigning NL Cy Young winner, surely won't be winning it this season. Not pitching again this season. 28 starts this year, just 7 wins, a 4.14 ERA, and a good 1.21 whip, but a far cry from the 0.98 of last year. Never a huge strikeout pitcher, but his strikeouts have dipped even more, just 7.4 per 9 innings. The ERA has gone up nearly 2 runs from his Cy Young season of 2022. Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox, he was the runner-up for AL Cy Young in 2022. His ERA has more than doubled from last season. 2.20 last year, 4.66 this year. Just 7 wins in 32 starts. Yes, still striking out a bunch of batters. 207 in 172 innings pitched, but a awful 1.42 whip on the season. Alec Manoa, Toronto Blue Jays. Obvious choice to be on here after he finished 3rd in AL Cy Young voting last season with a 2.24 ERA. This year in 19 starts, 3 wins and a 5.87 ERA, striking out 8.1 batters per 9 innings. It's just 2021 where he struck out 10.2. Look at that whip on the season, 1.74, as he gave up 9.6 hits per 9 innings, 6.1 walks per 9 innings, sent down to the minors twice, including currently. Now, let's go with one of the big free agent signings this offseason. Carlos Rodon agreed to a 6-year, $162 million deal with the Yankees. Well, he's been hurt for a lot of it, but still made 12 starts this season. 3 wins, 5.90 ERA, 2.88 ERA, and 31 starts in his lone season with the Giants in 2022, and a 2.37 ERA and 24 starts with the White Sox in 2021. a 1.36 whip on the season. Not terrible, but again, just an awful ERA, not providing wins. Does start today, so maybe if you somehow made the playoffs with him, he could give you a good outing. And Luis Severino, the final of the five starters on here. Severino, a two-time All-Star in 2017-2018, had a very solid 2022 season, going 7-3 with a 3.18 ERA and in 19 starts, striking out 9.9 batters per 9 innings. In 19 games, 18 starts this season, just 4 wins, a 6.65 ERA, striking out less than a batter per inning, 8 per 9 innings, and an awful 1.65 whips as he's given up 11.4 hits per 9 innings. And let's end with our relief pitcher. I must say there weren't a lot of viable candidates, so I'm going to go with Scott Barlow, who started the year with the Royals. Last year was awesome. 24 saves, 2.18 ERA. 2021, 16 saves, 2.42 ERA. With the Royals, 5.35 ERA, just 13 saves, a 1.55 whip. Now, he's improved those numbers since joining the Padres via trade, 3.42 ERA. The problem is he's not closing games anymore, so not pitching well enough to really keep on rosters. So Scott Barlow is the relief pitcher, and there you have it, the all-disappointing fantasy baseball team for 2023. I didn't mention the starting pitchers. I also considered Aaron Nola, Julio Urias, and Lance Lynn were also in consideration. But again, next weekend we will take a look at the all mostly went undrafted fantasy baseball team. I did it during the mid-season. I picked my team. Let's see how much of it is similar. But which guys were your most disappointing draft picks in fantasy baseball this season? Who underperformed when it comes to your expectations? But there you have it. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.